Um, Remember when we did the niñez and we were talking about things that we used to do, like you would say, yo jugaba en el patio de recreo, yo tenía una tortuga or un tren eléctrico. That should all sound familiar because that was the imperfect tense. So I'm going to be going over the imperfect tense today. For your warm-up, you're going to look at the picture. It says, miren la foto y escriben 3 preguntas sobre el equipo de softball de CCHS. So obviously this is an older picture because no one's playing at the moment. It says, usen el pretérito. So an example question I gave you is, jugó el equipo de softball contra otra escuela. So our vocab here would be contra, and then equipo is another keyword. Okay, and then just remember equipo is team, and notice how jugar in the past tense is not stem changing. So you don't say J-U-E like juego, because that would be present tense. So it's jugó with an acento over the O. And then again, softball has an acento, so softball. And so your keywords that you're going to be picking from are equipo, ganar, jugadoras, trofeo, and partido. So everything that we're doing now has to do with athletic events and competitions. So our irregular verb del día is venir, which is to come in the past tense. So if I say ella vino al partido de softball, and right here I have a little typo, sorry. So that means she came to the softball game. So again, notice that's irregular, and venir is irregular. It does not have any acentos. So notice how jugó has an acento, but vino doesn't. So I have vine, viniste, vino, vinimos, and vinieron. Okay, so that's your little irregular verb. The main thing that you are doing, I was going to start testing for the AB activity, but I'm going to do that next week. And the AB activity is the partner activity, which is que viste or que ves. Okay. And then the OH activity 17, ignore, and this one, I'm going to move that as well. So I need to update that. So the main thing you're doing today is your warm-up, and then you're going to have an activity on the imperfect tense, which is Edpuzzle, which I have not posted. And so let me go ahead and go over these notes. So let me just minimize myself. Okay, so the imperfect tense, or el imperfecto, can be found in your textbook on page 42. So what I did is I highlighted some key points. So the imperfect tense is, again, it's used to talk about actions that happened. Give me a second. That happened regularly. So that means often. Imperfect tense is used to express would or used to. Stem changing verbs do not have stem changes in the imperfect tense. A good example would be jugar, preferir, querer. All of those are stems changing because, for example, jugar, the U goes to UE. For preferir, the E goes to IE. And then, what was the other one I said? I think servir, the E usually goes to an I. But in the imperfect tense, dormir is another one, to sleep. So the O would go to UE. But with imperfect tense, for example, jugar would just be jugaba. So it's not stem changing. And then I did not put the endings here. Maybe I should have. But remember, aba, abas, aba, abamos, and then aban. And then abamos has an accent over the A. And then ER and IR imperfect tense is ia, ias, ia, iamos, and ian. And they all have accent marks. Okay, so In the imperfect tense, there are only 3 irregular verbs, and that is the verb ir, to go, ser, to be, and ver, to see. These need to be memorized because they have irregular tense. Also, the imperfect form of I, which is there are or there is había, which would be there was or used to be. So había is used a lot to generalize. So if I said había mucha gente, there was a lot of people. If I say había fanáticos, there were fans in the stadium. Había muchos equipos, there was a lot of teams. So these are some expressions that express the imperfect tense, which you should already know. So generalmente is generally, a menudo is often. Remember, if you forget to put the A, then it becomes a soup. Muchas veces, lots of times. Todos los días, every day. Siempre is always. And then nunca would be never. So again, I'm going to have an activity where you're going to have to watch a video on that. Okay, so also something I want to stress are the conjugations. So I guess I did put them. So these are the conjugations for AR, for regular. And remember, there's only 3 irregular verbs in the imperfect tense, and they're the ones in these boxes. Everything else has a normal conjugation. And then also notice I highlighted, actually made it a different color, the acentos. So if you notice the verb ir, it turns into iba, which should sound familiar. Ibas, iba, íbamos has an accent mark. And then ibais and iban, you don't have to know that one. And then ser would be era, eras, era, and then again éramos and eran. So you want to say, remember, ser would be like if I would say, yo siempre era tímido, or if I was a guy, yo siempre era de niño. Okay, but if I'm a girl, yo siempre era niña. So again, ser is used to describe. It is still used with the a. So yo iba al parque. Yo iba a la cafetería. So another key word would be siempre in front of that. And then ver is the verb to see. So yo siempre veía los programas de Barney. Yo siempre veía los programas de Power Rangers or whatever. And then again, here's some key bullets. The imperfect tense again is used to talk about actions that happen regularly. Imperfect tense is used to express would or used to. Stem changing verbs do not have stem changes in the imperfect tense. The irregular verbs in the imperfect tense. And then the imperfect form of I, which is there are, there is había, which becomes there was or there used to be. And then again, the same expressions, generalmente, a menudo, muchas veces, todos los días, siempre y nunca. So what I'm going to have you do for the activity on your Schoology work for today is you're going to be summarizing the key points, and you're going to give me an example of an AR, a ER, and an IR verb conjugated. And then do not forget to use your expressions. So I'm going to give you an example since I didn't. Oh, I forgot. This last slide again, this is irregular preterite. So this is preterite present tense. So notice how they're different. So the irregular preterite tense that I was talking about are shoe verbs versus sandal verbs. So remember, irregular preterite means it's irregular in every single form and there's no accent marks. For preterite tense, irregular shoe verbs, it only happens in the bottom part. So if it was, let me see. put it this way. If it was on the bottom, if it was listed, the verbs were listed like that, those would be the only weird conjugations. Yeah. And then again, this reminds you what a stem changing verb is. So some verbs, remember, if I say boot verbs, that means they're stem changing. If I say it's a shoe verb, then something happens in the el, e, and usted form, and then the plural form. And then if I say it's a sandal verb, it has irregular forms in everything, and it doesn't have acentos. And then again, don't confuse it with the imperfect tense. That's a totally different form. Are there any questions so far on the imperfect tense? Okay, so let me show you the examples I want you to do. And remember, I haven't posted this yet. So I'll probably share a document with you so you can type it on there. Maybe I'll do it on Google Classroom. I'll put imperfect. Okay, so your title is going to be imperfect. Imperfect notes and examples. So for your imperfect notes and examples, make sure I'm on. Okay, so if I was providing an example, make it bigger so you can see. You're going to summarize your notes here. So give me, like, I would say, give me 4 important things. Oh, actually 3. So this is the format you're going to see. So let me provide my modelo. So I would give an example of AR, ER, and IR. And then an example of 1 out of the 3 irregular. Why did it do that? Irregular verb examples. So I'll just give you one. Which example would you like me to give you? Do you want me to give you an example of an irregular verb or an AR verb, ER verb, or IR verb? Or doesn't matter? And then remember for the these are IR ending verbs. These are my non-talking Spanish 3 class. My other class talks to me.
We're listening, Ms. Cruz.
Oh, good. Makes me feel better now. And I got your grade, Jamal. Thank you for doing your work.
No problem.
Okay, so let me give you an example of an AR. So if I do the verb, let me pick one of your vocab words. So if I do a new vocab word, hold on. Give me a second. Let me go to the website.
Good or bad? Like, where's the Jamal bad? Only because we're all fucking around.
Okay, so just a reminder, if you go to the website, you can get the vocab. So if I go to the page 58. Okay, so I would pick, let's say I pick the verb. Remember, it has to be a verb. Let's pick asustar. So asustar is to scare. I could also pick pasar. Let's see. Obtener, entregar, alcanzar. Let's pick a complicated one. Entrenarse. So remember, entrenarse has that little se next to it. So that would be a difficult verb. So let me use that one. Okay, so entrenarse is to train. And notice that the se, I hope you guys haven't forgotten that the se requires an extra step when you conjugate. So if I were to say yo siempre, I have to use a keyword from my imperfect tense. So I decided to use always. So if I say yo siempre, let me switch the color. Entrenaba. And it's going to be aba because it's the yo form and I'm talking about myself. So yo siempre entrenaba con mi equipo de, what sport should I pick? De tenis. Okay, so that's my example for AR. Does that make sense? What you have to do? So you're just going to give me one example, and my key verb is entrenarse, so that's my example. So try to put it in little quotations, and then this would be my example. I don't know why it's so small. There you go. So that's my example. So I'm going to give you this format, and then you're just going to type in. So I need an AR, ER, and IR. For the 1 out of 3 examples, remember your verbs to pick from are the verb ir, which is the verb to go. You have ser, which is the verb to be. And what was the other one? And make sure you pick this vocab that relates to only this one on this side, which is this one. So let me make this into the picture. And remember, it has to be a verb and use that vocab. And I'm going to put it just to make it bigger. Just an example. Okay, are there any questions? No? Okay, so that's for today. This is mainly the work. So you have your warm-up to do. You have this to do. And then just a reminder, on Saturday, your iPhone audio part is due. So that's a separate grade. I think I'm going to make that worth 15 points, so don't forget about that. That's going to be due Saturday. And I didn't post a reminder on that, but I guess I could do a little calendar to remind you. Are there any questions? Other than that, you can go work on your assignments for today. You do your warm-up, either that or work on your audio, and then do the example for the notes. Give me about 5 minutes to post this, and then I'll share a document so that you can have it. Actually, I'm going to share it on Google Classroom right now. Give me a second. Any questions for today? I'm gonna assume no. This is 15. Oh my gosh, I'm blind. This is not close to this classroom. And it's gonna create a copy for you guys. So I'm gonna put how am I doing this? I'm gonna make it due at 11:59 p.m. Don't feel rushed. Okay, you should be able to see it now. So if you open up your document, if you need help with your examples, you can send me a reminder and say, Ms. Cruz, can you look at my document? So it's going to be worth 15 points. You're only going to get the 15 points if your examples make sense. So just a reminder, when you're doing your examples, don't forget your endings and your acentos here. And also don't forget that ir and sed are irregular. So if you want to make them all yo form, remember you have to use the subject pronoun because the yo, el and ella and usted are exactly the same. Okay. And then, so just a reminder, I will fix what's on here, but you're doing the Google Classroom activity and the warm-up. That's the only thing you are doing today. Okay. Any questions before we end our Zoom session? No? Okay, so then have a nice weekend and make sure you do your 2 assignments. And again, if you're missing work, today's the last day to make up that missing work. Otherwise, those zeros are permanent and then we just move forward. Okay. Other than that, you're free to leave. Thank you for coming. Bye, guys.
Oh, Miss Cruz. Cassandra said you're the best for using the
There's a profile picture.
yeah.
Bye.